and welcome to this Children's Media Conference virtual session. I'm Shanika Paris, and today's presentation is a perspective on adaptation, expanding the brand. So when you look around at the media landscape, it feels like IP is king. From beloved brands to long-running franchises to shared universes, it seems that the key to success is endurance. But how do big brands survive across the decades? How do they evolve to meet the expectations of a changing audience whilst keeping true to what made them popular in the first place? What's it like as a creative working for a huge IP? And finally, how do you go about starting your own new brand from the ground up? Joining us to discuss this today are Simon Furman, a writer for comics and animation, who spent a long career contributing to the Transformers franchise. Jessica Ryan, Director of Franchise Management at Paramount, where she oversees the development of big brands such as SpongeBob SquarePants and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Jonathan Smith, Head of Production at TT Games, a video game developer best known for its work with Lego, with titles such as Lego Star Wars and Lego Batman. And finally, Patrick Reese, General Manager of CoComelon, the youngest franchise under discussion today, but which is already the #1 preschool brand on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Simon Furman. I'm a writer for script and screen, and I've worked largely in comics and particularly on Transformers. I started way back pretty much at the end of 1984, and with a few gaps have worked on Transformers ever since and continue to do so in various fields and formats.
How did license holder Hasbro deal with the comic back in the 1980s?
We were in touch with Hasbro. We were in touch with Hasbro UK, so it wasn't the main Hasbro. They operated reasonably independently. I think the UK office of Hasbro, and they had their own release schedule for the toys, their own promotional budget. They did TV advertising spots for the toys, and often they would talk to us and invite us to almost piggyback onto their TV advertising slots. If we featured the toys they wanted to release at a certain time to time with the promotion, we got a little snippet at the end of their TV advertising for the comic, which was gold dust for us, really. So, we were more than happy, even if it meant having to juggle things a little bit in terms of our storylines to accommodate special teams and new leaders. So that really was, the extent of our cooperation with Hasbro was just, we were more than happy to work with them. And they were very otherwise hands-off. I'm sure we ran scripts past them, but I don't think it was anything more than a cursory, check to make sure we weren't doing anything appalling in there. Because, really, by today's standards, our stories, the UK stories, were very violent, very full on, very uncompromising in terms of the age group of our audience. So I think, Hasbro didn't have any objection to that. And, obviously, as time went on, they saw that the comic was selling very well. And I'm sure they didn't really want to tamper with what seemed like a fairly winning formula at that point. But yeah, generally, I don't remember any kind of sticking points with us and Hasbro. It was a really good, what they call now, synergy, I suppose.
Did that relationship change over time?
Initially, there would have been a toy line. I don't feel there was particularly a toy line that the Dreamwave comic was promoting. It was very much, just riding that retro revival wave of the early noughties. That saw a lot of old properties, animated properties coming back, brought back by the people who loved them as kids. But it became that, it turned into something else. It became a retro revival without necessarily the need for Hasbro to vet it to fit in with whatever toys or marketing they were doing. And I think it made Hasbro sit up and probably notice Transformers again and notice that the fan community wasn't going away anywhere. So, it was worth their while, I suppose, paying heed a little more to what the fans might want in the way of the toys they produced. And that still goes to today, that much more you see toys based on comic characters and all that, and things tailored for fans, particularly, not necessarily the younger audience who might be buying toys, but aimed specifically at that, now probably 40 plus bracket of collectors.
I'm Jonathan Smith. I'm head of production at TT Games, and I was head of game on Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister has it. Leia!
Luke, I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Hit the target hard! Give it everything you got!
As part of the experiments that were undertaken at Lego Interactive, the group within Lego Company tasked back in the early 2000s with creating a new kind of Lego game, we were exploring new action character gameplay with developers here in the UK. And the idea emerged from Tom Stone, who was leading the group, to match some of those ideas with the world's favorite characters and stories, and very specifically, the universe and IP of Star Wars. Now, Lego had licensed physical toy sets and characters from Star Wars since 1999 and Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But it seemed unbelievable that we could have the opportunity to build on that with the new kinds of games that we wanted to make. And that's why we were so thrilled and excited when, from the very first meeting with the Lucasfilm team, we had a really warm reception to the proposition that Lego characters brought to life in the Star Wars universe could be fun, exciting, and tell those stories in a new way for audiences both old and new.
How much control does a big brand have over your work?
Lego Company, of course, cares incredibly deeply about quality in all aspects of its business and reviews everything that we do and always has done. But over the years, has also been very trusting of TT Games' ability to create characters, worlds, and gameplay of the highest quality. So we've always had a really constructive, creative relationship. They've been very, very supportive, where we've tried to break new ground and do new things, but also really appreciated the efforts of our creative teams to be scrupulous in their attention to detail and authenticity in matching the expectations of Lego products, be that in the detailed graphical representation of the characters to the recreation of the models in Lego bricks.
Do license holders have a problem with you having fun with their properties?
There is wit and charm and humor in every IP, particularly these big, successful, mass market, popular IPs that have cross-generation appeal. Because if there wasn't, they wouldn't be as successful and popular as they are. I mean, you may have a sort of a monolithic image of corporate rights holders, but that's not the spirit of the property, of the stories, or of the people who work there. And as soon as you start having creative conversations, you find, or you are reminded of, the humor and the lightness that does exist in all these stories. Lego gives us the opportunity to put focus onto that lightness and that humor and that wit. But all we're doing in every case is magnifying something that's there. It's never a sort of an invasion or a strange reinterpretation. It's a natural process of perhaps caricature that's still recognizable.
So my name is Jessica Ryan, and I am franchise director for consumer products and experiences at Paramount EMEA. And the focus for my role, both for myself and for my team, is the CP franchise management of the Paramount portfolio. which is extensive and includes powerhouse preschool franchises like Paw Patrol, Baby Shark, to multi-gen franchises like SpongeBob, Turtles, Star Trek, MTV, South Park, Emily in Paris, and so much more.
As brands evolve, what are the core elements that are important to maintain?
So for Turtles, we've got almost 40 years of history and a fan base that touches all demos globally. But at the heart of Turtles, it's really all about brotherhood and humor. Those are definitely the key themes. And then supported by action, heroism, and of course, we couldn't forget pizza. So those are definitely the themes that we know the fans love. And we certainly look to emphasize those across all the franchise consumer touchpoints. For SpongeBob, at the heart of SpongeBob, it's all about his positivity and his humor. And those are key values of the franchise that have stayed consistent. They are precious aspects of that franchise, I would say, and they continue to resonate with audiences and new generations. So as new generations come into SpongeBob, they are then able to apply a modern lens on those themes and appreciate them for what they are. And what we're consistently seeing with SpongeBob is that people respond to his character so well, whether it's his heart or his optimism or his positivity. These are elements that people just love. And that's definitely, I would say, an aspect for us within consumer products where, you know, SpongeBob continues to translate so well for us across our markets. At the end of the day, SpongeBob has become a cultural icon for us. He has achieved 13 series and 3 theatrical movies under his belt. And incredibly, the show continues to win out as one of the most watched animated kids shows of the last 20 years. And our content universe is continuing to expand. We saw that last year with the launch of the Patrick Star show spin-off, and that's continuing this June with the hotly anticipated Camp Coral, SpongeBob the Underyears, exclusively on Paramount Plus in the UK and Ireland. We're also going to have 3 character-driven specials. And in addition to that, we also have a 4th theatrical in the works, and that's being developed by the Nick Animated Studios team.
Hello, my name is Patrick Reese. I am the general manager of both CoComelon and Little Angel at Moonbug Entertainment. And what that means is I oversee both the franchises CoComelon and Little Angel, and I am tasked with setting the overall strategy of those franchises to try and grow them into larger brands. And that's looking at what content we're creating, what partners we're working with beyond the content that we are producing and creating ourselves. But really, you know, the role is just trying to enable and help Moonbug and help the franchises grow as best they can, and be thoughtful about who our audiences are, and always be putting them first and foremost at the front, and super serving and creating content that appeals to both the kids who consume our content, but then of course also parents and caregivers and everyone else who's watching the content with the kids as well.
Let's make Jiggly Jello with 3 primary colors. Let's make yummy Jello of red and blue and yellow.
The characters that you see today on CoComelon were launched roughly around March of 2017 on YouTube. And the CoComelon brand was introduced in August of 2018. The YouTube channel had been around for a lot longer. The channel is actually about 18 years old at this point, launched in 2005. It actually predates the acquisition of YouTube by Google. So it's been there a very, very long time. And the founders and creators have been creating kids content for a very long time, and starting with some simple 2D animation, and then gradually over time evolving into the 3D animation that you see today. I began working with CoComelon in 2019, and have just been helping to grow the brand ever since. So it was a YouTube property for a very, very long time. But we sort of did a lot of work to figure out ways to take what was very popular on YouTube at the time and generating billions of views, to become something that not only would continue to grow on YouTube as we have, we've grown over the past couple of years. We've now grown to doing roughly 4 to 4.5 billion views per month, depending on the month, which is an amazing number. And also becoming the #1 most watched brand on Netflix, globally across their platform. And we just see a lot of engagement across the content.
What are the benefits of being on a digital platform like YouTube?
YouTube is such an important distribution partner for CoComelon. And they've just been great for us, but we're a content brand. We're IP. You know, YouTube is a point of distribution, a touch point for us with our audience. But our philosophy has always been, we want to be everywhere where our audience is. We want to be everywhere our kids are. And so that has allowed us to expand onto Netflix and have a lot of success there. It has allowed us to expand onto Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon Music, and put our songs out there. And audiences engage with us everywhere we are. And so that's why we do focus on just create the best content possible for our audience in the best way possible. And it'll find our audience and distribute everywhere that we can.
How important are spin-offs and adaptations to establishing or growing a brand?
Content expansions are absolutely key for us. You know, you just have to look at the way consumer behaviors and family dynamics have continued to shift and expand, especially in the last couple of years. And we see content expansions key to that. You know, we want to make sure that we are embracing all the platforms where our fans and our audience are. Already, we've talked about the wealth of new content we have coming through, whether it's series, whether it's specials and theatricals. Additionally, gaming is a huge focus for us. We will be expanding our gaming slate, because we know that immersive worlds and experiences are absolutely key for superfans. And, you know, as part of our Paramount strategy, we really focus on ensuring we are everywhere our audience is. That's very much our North Star within our franchise approach.
We've known for a very long time that there was a demand, at least some level of demand and some level of interest from our audience to have toys, for instance, that are CoComelon toys. And we went through a really deliberate process in deciding who our toy partner would be. And we ended up partnering with a company called Jazzwares, who have been fantastic for us and made great products. But we have a lot of different licensees across a lot of different categories. And it's first and foremost, is this going to be a best-in-class product? Is this something that is going to share CoComelon's values, our values as a company and as a brand? And we want, again, like, it goes back to our core tenet of being where our audience is. We know it's super important. Like, playtime is super important. Wearing clothes is super important. Having pajamas, having, bedtime routines, and toddlers feeling comfortable in their bed, and us being able to help create an environment through licensing that allows a level of familiarity and a level of comfort for toddlers, preschoolers to feel like a brand that they love is in their home, and for parents as well to invite that brand into their home. Those are all super important things, and we are very, very thoughtful in making sure that the quality of our products reflects the quality of the brand.
How do you keep your identity when working within a big brand?
One of the reasons we've been able to sustain over so many years these different relationships with IP holders and this long-standing and incredibly valuable relationship with Lego Company is because we've always had those conversations from a position where we are confident creatively in what unique value our teams and TT Games is bringing in each of those relationships. And we're able to do that with a position that's founded in the high quality that we bring to everything that we do. Again, I know that sounds like a sales pitch or a promise, but we've delivered on it. Our teams have had that experience year after year of building titles which are incredibly well reviewed, which are very successful in the market, which they feel personally very proud of. And our unique combination of skills in animation and storytelling and Lego model making and technology and game design, together with the platform and consumer expectations that we've created with these Lego games, two-player co-op, a unique sense of sort of whimsy and charm, storytelling that's authentic, but also witty and slapstick. That's a mix that's unique, that's individual, that's personal to us. And that has sustained our sense of identity as we've gone through the years and as we look to the future now as well.
What's it like to see your creations incorporated into a franchise?
So I think it's always very flattering that the little bits and pieces I've added to the mix and the mythos and the fundamentals of what Transformers is now, it's gratifying, that they have longevity. The only downside is you don't seem to get much in the way of acknowledgement or credit for these things. There's nothing, even in the finest tail end movie credits, that mentions that the Fallen was created by, well, effectively me and Pat Lee, because I think he did the original design of the Fallen. So yeah, but that's the way it goes. It just seems to be that, Marvel are pretty good about crediting you. I'm always, they're aware that I created Death's Head, for instance, and if Death's Head got used in a Marvel movie, I'm sure down the bottom of the credits would be a little bit of, with my name on it. It's a shame that doesn't happen with Transformers, but some of these things, there's no point getting, sort of worked up about. It's just the way it is. You work for hire on a licensed product, you do tend to sign your life away a little bit.
How important are legacy fans to ongoing brands?
Legacy fans are hugely important. They've been with the franchise from the very beginning. As I think everybody has seen, nostalgia continues to be a huge trend, whether that's fashion or music or product or even TV shows, especially when times are tough, as they have been for everybody, especially across the last couple of years. People love to seek comfort and security in something that they know and that they love. And certainly with fans that have grown up with SpongeBob, have grown up with Turtles, we know that those memories are really what fuel a desire for shared experiences. So whether that's enjoying the show or the content or enjoying the game and the toys that they used to play with when they were younger. And certainly within our consumer product strategy, going and supporting those fans is a key pillar in terms of our approach. What we know with SpongeBob and Turtles is that these are multi-demo franchises. And as part of that, we really look to cater to those demos and those audiences through bespoke product, through bespoke creative and character art that will appeal to every audience. In 2024, we will be celebrating 40 years of Turtles. And while I can't give too much away, for consumer products, we're definitely going to be celebrating the year with bespoke product, fan events, and so much more. So definitely stay tuned for more on that. What I would also emphasize is the importance of anniversaries for franchises. These are definitely an important aspect in terms of being able to engage and immerse with existing fans of all ages, whether that's through content or through consumer products or fan events. It's really about immersing fans in that world, and it also provides great opportunity to then bring new audiences into the brand.
You know, Transformers, the comic, the cartoon, the toys had a big impact on, I suppose, fandom, you know, the fandom that became, you know, I think it really made an impact on a whole generation. And so I think it just was inspiring, you know. I mean, I hope some of that's down to my stories, some of that is, I'm sure, down to just the toys themselves, which are, you know, sort of a genius idea. So you know, I mean, I think it inspires that kind of devotion, if you like. It changed a lot of people's lives, and those people became professionals. So it changed their whole work life as well.
What lessons can be learned about managing brands?
The one thing about a YouTube brand, and this is where I will openly say that we are a YouTube brand. The one thing about a YouTube brand is it's always on, and it's always iterating, and it's always growing. And yeah, we have plans for what next month and next year and the next 3 and 5 years could look like. And we're very much directing our brand to travel that path. But it's also just very exciting that we get to iterate and grow as we go, and grow with our audience as we go. And so some of it is a little bit of the unknown of what is going to happen next for our content. But just as long as we get to focus on our core values, and as long as we get to just make great content and make some great songs and have some fun, they're just kids' cartoons. You know, it's not a bad journey to be on. I think we're very, very excited at CoComelon. And again, we didn't talk about it as much. Obviously, it's a newer brand, but similarly, it's very excited at Little Angel as well, to sort of be on this journey to create something new and meaningful, and something that can, especially with CoComelon at this point, something that can last for generations. CoComelon, the brand, is 4 years old in terms of name. Our audience goes from 0 to 5. You know, like, we haven't even gone through a full cycle yet of one of our kids kind of growing and seeing what their life journey is going to be as CoComelon consumers. And like, the younger audience keeps growing, and then the older audience stays with us a bit longer. It's an amazing thing, and we're really just excited to have this opportunity to build what could be a generational brand.
We're talking at the time when we've just had this incredible success with Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga as well. Now, it was, as with any creative endeavor, and certainly to my experience in the process of making any game, it was a challenge, and it had its ups and downs as we went along. But when you emerge with that in the market with acclaim, it's difficult not to feel sort of confident and proud in the work that our teams have been able to do, and optimistic about the work that we're going to be able to do in the future.
There's definitely no one-size-fits-all approach with this. But what I believe is that, staying relevant and listening to fans and audiences, they're absolutely key pillars to franchise longevity. From a consumer products perspective, we definitely look to harness insights and data into our approach. And that's one of the things that I love about what I do, is that we're always evolving, we're always improving what we can do, but ultimately it's about great storytelling at the heart.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to extend a big CMC thank you to our excellent panel, all of whom took time out from their busy schedules to contribute. Hopefully, you've all gained some insight into how big brands can be managed and the place of creatives within them. Thanks for watching. Bye.